Got Your Ears On is brought to you by Tactical Legion 9.
All right, everybody, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Got Your Ears On. I'm Guido, along with...
And coming to you live from the Frog, it's Johnson.
I hate to tell you guys, but we're 3-1.
Scoot, I want to come off the top of this show, and I want to have a conversation with you. Very important conversation. It is official. Head coach Neil Brown has won 3 games in a row. You have been asking for this for 2 seasons. He did it,
Scoot.
3
Some
games
said
in a row.
they thought it could not be done.
Scoot said.
I know what I said, and I said what I said, and I'm still saying, does Duquesne count?
I mean,
I
it's
think
3
that's
games in a row.
actually fair. I thought about that too. Do they? I think they do. I think they have to. But like in your head, you're sort of like 2.5, aren't you?
Yeah, right. Can you I mean, I'll give you credit, but it's not going to be full credit.
That's a big curve you're grading on, is what you're saying.
Well, let's go back a minute though, Guido. We didn't because you're busy and stuff.
We didn't. Are you blaming me?
I mean,
I was ready. I was I was practicing talking about the last couple weeks to myself.
He was doing voice exercises.
That's right.
And then we never recorded after the Pitt game. I had said, I'm actually just bringing this up selfishly because I'm the one that picked us to win this. You guys both said we would not beat the Panthers. I said we would win because of the atmosphere. And Scoot, I did think the atmosphere was really fun. It's crazy to say this 5 years into a coach's tenure, but we haven't seen that kind of environment in a long time. It was fun. Now, I don't know, some people were like, I think it's going to be 2011 or whatever, LSU, whatever that was, one of the best things I've ever seen, or a crowd like that. And I was like, come on. I didn't expect that, but I still thought it was a great atmosphere.
Let me ask you this: is the name what brought the party? Because it probably wasn't the football, right? So, it probably
was it the backyard brawl?
Well,
is that what you're saying?
I'm saying could it have been? I don't know, a cribbage tournament, and you call it the backyard brawl, and it's against Pitt. And would it have the same kind of was it because it was Pitt? I mean, yes, right?
Yeah, no, of course, because, we confirmed that with Saturday against Texas Tech, the very next home game. It looks like a bunch of people watching a dentist do an oral surgery, right? It's fine, but it's nothing like what we watched for the Pitt game. So, yes.
This is to not offend any dentists that we might have that download and subscribe to Got Your Ears On.
I just don't think it's a raucous atmosphere when they're doing that, is all I'm saying. The rain didn't help, but Texas Tech, very next week, certainly not the same atmosphere. So yes, I thought it was cool. And Guido, you had the guy with the wonderful mullet and the plaid shirt holding the twisted T. He kind of stole the show on Twitter after that game. He was sort of like a celebrity from the crowd.
That is correct. Yes, he did steal the show. Yes. And moving on.
I guess he stole the show. The football didn't.
No, the football was rough. Let's be both teams are bad.
The football was a train wreck, but the atmosphere was great.
I think we still see not great football. What's I don't have all the stats in front of me, but I know the quarterback play has not been stellar.
Well, here's the thing, and this, speaking exactly to what you guys are talking about with the Pitt game, with the backyard brawl game, the fans showed up because it was the rivalry, right? And I don't want to get into the whole conference and realignment and who we should and shouldn't be playing. There were 61,000 people who showed up to the backyard brawl, sold out. Energy was there. I agree, Johnson. I do think that played a role. Can you guys tell me the last time and it was within the last handful of years during the Neil Brown. When was the last time we put 60,000 people in at Mountaineer Field? When was the last time we had 60,000
Well, I
people?
want to say Virginia Tech.
Yep, 2021.
Okay.
Virginia Tech was the last time we had just over 60,000 people there. And when I mean just over, the official attendance was 60,022. Like 22 people over 60,000. Prior to that, the Texas game in 2019, when we thought the team was going to be good, that had 62,000 people at it. That's still one of the large. But
it's few and far between,
to the
isn't
point
it?
It's few and far between. It's few and far between. Like, they put the official attendance for the Texas Tech game this past weekend at 50K. That's generous.
Watching it on TV, it felt generous. Yeah.
It feels very generous. I guess they count when the students get their tickets, but
it's just crazy, though, isn't it, how those games, just people are just they can't wait for that. They're clamoring for those meaningful games. As soon as you get into Big 12 play, it's not that they entirely don't care, but it just doesn't at all carry the same chutzpah, does it, at all?
But let's talk about it, Scoot. So 3 wins. This team is on a winning streak, I would say. Official winning streak of 3 wins. We beat Duquesne first. That was expected. It wasn't very hard. We beat Pitt. Pitt didn't look great.
I don't even know that their
but we won that game.
Played organized football ever in his life before. I know he did, but I don't know how.
I don't think he did.
How.
I mean,
I
maybe
feel
as much
like
as you
he
have.
looked like I was throwing with my non-dominant hand most of the game.
And then game 3, we beat Texas Tech in a game we'll talk about here in a second. I want to go on record saying
you are climbing. You're a climerino.
No. I am not on the climb. I'm not on the
Vinny
climb. I'm definitely not buying carabiners.
Is that what you're trying to call him?
Yeah.
I have not.
Are
been to REI or Bass Pro Shops
out of the attic.
Dust off the carabiner, Scoot.
No, I'm just saying that everybody else is on the climb. I'm not.
There are a lot of people
that have jumped back on. There are a lot of people that are back on. They've got
the Twitter,
the
Twitter/X. There's a lot of climbers.
His 5 years. He needed to. You remember the cupboard was bare.
I've heard that,
and he had to deal with COVID.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And then the transfer portal. You heard about that?
Something about NIL.
And yeah. And so it just took about 5 years.
Yeah.
Actually, I count this as year 1. Yeah.
This is year 1. We're year 1 now.
Year 1.
Here's the thing, and I want to talk specifically about the Texas Tech game. And the Texas Tech game is primary, like the reason why I can't believe that people are like, oh, it's great. He's won 3 games. We're back on the Neil Brown. We're gonna play in the national championship game this year. And the problem is like at halftime, I texted Johnson and I said to Johnson, I was like, Texas Tech today, this weekend, might be the worst football team I've ever seen play. Might be. Like, they had 23 total offensive yards.
And this is on the heels, Guido, of spending the previous Saturday trying to figure out if Pitt was the worst team we've ever watched play football. So, yes.
They had 20. Scooty, West Virginia had 160 or 140 more yards in the first half than Texas Tech have. But wait, what happened? Texas Tech had no first downs in the first half. But wait, what happened? None. Second half, final stats, Texas Tech has more first downs than West Virginia. Texas Tech finishes the game with more rushing yards and more passing yards.
Well, and they also, Guido, Texas Tech had a impressive determination to not give the ball to the most able-bodied player on the field for them. It appeared in his name escapes me. Number 28. Their running back. He was having some success, and then it was almost like the Texas Tech coaching staff was like, "Hey, look, that's working too well. Can you knock that off? Like, can you not do that anymore?" And then they just were like, "Yeah, we're not going to use that guy." So that, I mean, kudos to them. That helped us out. I don't know why they did that, but that was good.
I texted at the halftime to you guys. Nico had 60 yards passing in the first half. Half of them were to Texas Tech.
Details, schmetails.
I'm just
Guido.
Details, schmetails, right? Like a win's a win. That's what you're going to hear. Well, we won. A win's a win, and let's just like, Scooty. I said of all the football games I've ever watched, this game was more like watching a 1937 football game that I've ever seen. It was.
You text me.
Like, run, trick play, run, incomplete pass, run, punt. Like they should have been wearing yellow leather helmets.
You text that we should be in leather helmets, and then you said, correction, yellow leather helmets. That was great. That was hilarious.
I am just, this team is so difficult to watch. That was like, as a fan, I love that they won. It's great. I want them to win. That was the most difficult football game, Johnson, that I think I've ever watched.
It's weird, though, isn't it? It leaves us in a weird spot because if you would have told anyone that, hey, after 4 games, you're going to be 3-1, I think anyone would have been, wow, I will definitely take that. And somehow we're like, this is the worst football we've watched in a long time. So it's an odd place to be. I think that we need to Guido, I feel like we need to talk to the listeners for a minute. Can we do that? Can we just talk to the listeners for a minute?
Here, let me do this.
Okay, and maybe I'm talking to me here. Maybe I'm talking to us. Let's not worry about that. Let's blame it on the listeners. Okay, let's do that because they need to hear this, right? So let's say you came into the season, and Scoot, maybe you can back me up here. Let's say you came into the season and you were thinking this would be your last run with Coach Melba Toast, right? You were pretty sure you had one more season of pain, and then at the end, you'd suffer for like through another 4 or 5 wins, and then we'd be moving on from this experiment, right? And now it's fine. It's okay, Guido, Tree of Trust. This is a safe space. I know it was you, Fredo. Like, we can talk about it, okay? Like, it's fine. Here we are. After 4 games, we're 3-1. And now you're kind of freaking out, aren't you? Because you're like, I didn't expect this. I thought he needed to get to 6 wins there. Now you're telling yourself, you're sitting there, you're scrolling your X app, and you're saying, well, I had convinced everyone and myself he needs to get to the 6-win plateau and get bowl eligible. And he's not going to do that, right? Like, look, fine, he's 3-1. He's not going to do that, is he? And I have Guido, some friends have walked in to this intervention. I'll introduce them to you right now. Their names are Houston, Baylor, Cincinnati, BYU, and the mullet in the back is Oklahoma State. They've all come to talk to you as well because they are dealing with their own demons where they have all forgotten how to play football. Like, who knew in week 1 when we were doing our predictions and we said, holy cow, there's a lot of bad on this schedule, and we all looked at each other like, yeah, there's a lot of bad, but I mean, college football is a weird thing. No one will be that bad. And then, lo and behold, the universe has conspired against you, and they've all decided to be horrific, and they're all on your schedule, and they're all working against you, right? So now you got to try to act like you're not beating teams that sustain all your offensive drives through their penalties and have quarterbacks that are essentially headless jugs machines, and that you average 74 yards passing a game. You have to ignore all that and just try to enjoy the wins, okay? There's nothing else for you to do. You're going to have to learn how to enjoy these wins. Maybe you're sitting at your desk today working and you're still thinking about it. How did we win that game? I don't know. How are we 3-1? You're driving in your car. You miss your exit because you're sitting there listening to us thinking, I don't know how we did it. How did we get 3 wins? I think, Guido, you're going to have to tell yourself, just enjoy it. Like, I don't know what else to do. There's now a path to 6 wins, maybe even more. So listeners, buck up. You can come back and listen to us week after week. We'll do this together. We'll try to figure it out together. But I think you're on your way to the, what bowl, Guido? We're on our way now to the leftover mayonnaise bowl against Troy, maybe.
The Hardee's
Right.
High Cholesterol Bowl this December 23rd. like it is like it's gonna be horrific. Yeah. And here's the thing, Johnson. I mean, I'm not gonna change my prediction, but it is. I'm already lost. We're gonna win 6 or 7 games this year. West Virginia's gonna win 6 or 7 games, and it's gonna be the most painful.
And look,
6 or
maybe
7
you told
games to
yourself, well, okay, maybe those teams are still on the schedule, but Johnson, you told me the flow chart is game on road, loss. That plays a factor, right? Well, let's see. A bunch of these games are at home. Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, BYU, they're all at home. And one of the ones that's not is on a Thursday night in Houston, where they're actively trying to fire their coach, right? So, like, it's there for the taking, Scoot. It's probably going to happen.
It is. Scooty, I hate to tell you, it's going to be 6 or 7 wins. It's going to be 6 or 7 wins. And here's the thing. How am I talking, Scooty, how are we talking about 6 or 7 wins and we're not excited?
Could it be that in the last game that you won, your quarterback, not known for running, led the rushing attack with 78 yards for the team? Like, how is that possible? Tell me. Could it be that this defensive secondary all of a sudden is like lights out? Like, not sure how that's possible.
How is it that a redshirt freshman who wasn't on scholarship until 2 weeks ago is leading your team in receiving yards? Hudson Clement.
Which, by the way, I don't know that he's caught a ball since then. And he's still leading your team in reception yards.
Well, how is it that 4 games in, I feel like I still don't really know what we've got? I thought after the Pitt game, that'll be the tell. I'll know what we have. I still don't really feel like I know.
Here's what we've got. You want to know what we've got? I'll tell you what we've got. We have a coach who still is very soybean in his play calling. He clearly likes Nico better than Garrett Green. So listeners, I know you guys are like, oh, Garrett Green's hurt. This was maybe like the perfect storm for Neil Brown. He has wanted Nico to be the starter. He now has an excuse for Nico to be the starter. So now Nico's the starter, which, listen, Nico's fine. He's fine. He's not. I don't have any problem with Nico. He's left-handed. I'm not left-handed. Maybe that's my only concern with him. Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
He's fine. However, he shouldn't be leading your team in rushing. We talk up C.J. Donaldson like he is like the second coming of Chris Mafumata-Fala. Or Tom Rathman, or some other really big-bodied Mike Allstott, right? You
should have definitely went with Allstott and Rathman first.
Well, I was thinking of like a thicker running back. Anyway, he had 51 yards rushing against a team that wasn't very good.
Well, but I think when there's no threat to pass, so in all seriousness, right now, there were parts of this game, Scoot, where I was like, that was a horrific throw by Nico. Then there were other parts of this game where I was like, that was a great throw. Too bad no one can catch the ball. Old Stonehams. When receivers are open, Nico has to hit them. When Nico makes a pass, the receivers have to help him out. Right now, listen, we can talk about quarterback play. Is it bad? Yes, it's very bad, but it's not being helped at all by the receiving core. The receiving core right now looks...
Cole Taylor's your best receiver.
Yeah, right. And I think Nico feels most comfortable throwing to him, right? I mean, even when he came back after an apparent injury, they still immediately went right back.
One leg.
Yeah.
Hey, can we get the ball back to Cole?
Were like,
Cole, can you hop?
Throwing that.
Can you hop for a couple yards catch this ball?
Which is fine, but someone else, we heard a lot about Devin Carter.
One reception for 6 yards.
Like, people have to step up. This guy's new. He's I don't think the quarterback plays good, but I'm not questioning Nico's want to or effort. I mean, I think he's out there trying. The receiving core has to help him out. I don't think they were doing that in Texas Tech. Now, people are quick to tell you the rain played a factor in it, so fine, but not an entirely like game long factor. I mean, people have to catch the ball. He's making some throws. People have to catch them.
I guess, and here's the thing, and I feel like maybe we're such outsiders in this, and maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's just us, but like, how is it that how can we talk about how they're going to have these wins? I mean, I don't disagree with you, Johnson. Like, I think I still think Houston's a win. I mean, TCU next week is a loss, or this weekend.
Well, hold on. Like, not so fast, right? Because here's the weird thing. Neil Brown's had a lot of success, and he's actually had a lot of success in Fort Worth. So, I don't know. TCU hasn't looked horrible, but they haven't looked great. So, like, there's a chance there, I think, actually. I don't know.
I mean, like, let's just play it out. Let's just play it out real quick. Let's say he does beat TCU.
I don't want to.
Let's say he beats Houston. He'd say I mean, here's the thing. He only are we in agreement? Like, he beat Pitt. He only needs to win what, 2 more games, and he's 2 more games.
Yeah, I thought 5.
He's back next year.
I thought 5.
What are you going to do?
Yeah,
we get to, I don't know. Let's say he gets to 7 wins, right?
Which is, I think,
and after win 7, there's a press conference on a Wednesday night with Ren Baker bringing out Neil, the family, and talk of a 4-year extension.
Here's the thing. I think he could win out the rest of the season, and I don't think they would extend him right now. I don't think they would. I mean, I just...
Are you deliberately trying to make this worse? You're trying to make this worse, aren't you? This conversation.
Just saying, like, listen, he's definitely back next year. I'm at the point now where he could lose the rest of the games, and he's back next year. I don't know. Like,
next year. I mean, the Pitt win. And we said it when we were watching the game. That was a big win for him.
3 in a row. Like, he's gotten both of those.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I still think 5. I just think that there's so much, like, I'm now past the point of thinking he could win 5. I'm wondering if there's enough poop in this conference for him to win 8. Like, to me, that's a more plausible. You watch some of the stats, some of the recaps of these Big 12 games. This conference is like, when we sat here and talked prior to Penn State, we were like, there might be some bad in here. I'm not sure how much, but I think there's some bad.
And we got all the dogs.
Yeah.
Like, all the dogs are on
and now, like, 4 weeks, like 4 games in, like, it's way worse than we thought, right? Like, now it's like, holy cow, there's a lot of bad, like, way more than we thought here. And I think that there's so much grumbling, like, somehow Neil Brown now I don't think is even the hottest seat in the conference. Can we talk about that for a second? Like, how Mike Gundy is surviving after you lose to South Alabama, I still don't understand how that's happening. I guess he has enough cachet to keep the thing rolling, but to me, I can't believe that wasn't a fireable offense. That's crazy. That is just bizarro world to me that they lost that game and lost it bad. Like, not even just lost it, they lost it bad. So anyway, there's tons of bad in the conference. I think, Scoot, you pointed me to, this is probably my quick, like, if someone asked me to summarize it, you pointed me to Jake's article this morning. Yeah.
Jake Lance
over at Smoking Musket. We've had Jake on. He's a buddy. At the end of his article, I think he said kind of what I was thinking, like, at the end of his, it's somewhere, I don't have it in front of me now, but somewhere at the end of his article, he said, this isn't sustainable. And that, Guido, that's what I think. Like, it's great. We somehow got to 3 wins. It's a weird 3 wins. Even though I think a ton is bad, you guys are both right. Like, when you look at these stats, Guido, you ran down some of them, like, you're winning, but it's like, it's hardly a sustainable path forward. I think even against bad teams, don't you? Like, even against bad teams, I don't know how you keep playing like this and sustaining it. Scoot hit it on the head too. Like, there's so little threat of a forward pass that CJ Donaldson has to run through like 6 people every time he touches the ball on his own beyond who's getting blocked to gain any yardage. I don't know.
Let me ask you this: is it receivers or is it quarterback? Because we got to believe the line is fine, right? Because they're a veteran line, they should be able to pass block. So is it? So I'll change this. Is it receivers? Is it quarterback? Is it coaching scheme strategy?
Well, Guido, I'll go first. I don't think the play calling scares anyone. Like the poor quarterback play aside, the poor wide receiver play aside, even those plays that we're talking about, I text Guido Saturday, we had to run a trick play to throw a 12-yard pass. Like we don't we don't do anything in the play calling that scares anyone off the line of scrimmage. So I think that just in and of itself bottles up the run game.
Well, is it a concern that the backup tight end had a longer pass than the starting quarterback?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that was the trick play, right? Well, we had to run a
Traylon Ray threw that 21-yard pass. That was the longest pass of the game for WVU. I here's the thing. The only thing that I can say is I think that Texas Tech was at a disadvantage because there was not a lot of film. There was not a lot of like, what will Neil Brown do with Nico in the offense? And I think that helped us in the first half. And I think you saw in the second half the adjustments to that. And I can only imagine that if he keeps running the offense like he ran it in this game this weekend, that will be the downfall. And that's what Jake's saying. That's not sustainable. Like you can't have, especially in the Big 12, you can't have an offense where you only throw the ball 20 times a game. I think
Guido's right too, because against bad teams that I think against the Cincinnatis, the BYUs, who else might I throw in there? The Houstons. Where you're probably going to be able to shove people around off the line of scrimmage. Like we had enough of a push, not on the quarterback sneaks, by the way, we can talk about that separately, but we had enough shove off the line of scrimmage to generate some forward momentum. But I think I don't know what happens when we play the Texases and Oklahomas on this, whatever. I just don't think that's going to work at all. And I think it just makes it 10 times harder to run the ball. I think as long as Bran Flakes is calling the plays and everything is 1 to 2 yards off the line of scrimmage, I can't see people giving us room to really work, to really maneuver. It's going to be tough. I mean, nothing's going to compel people to give you any space.
I think we're going to, guys, and I mean, and I feel bad, but I think the three of us, are going to catch a lot of flack for being this down on a team that right now is 3-1 and is not far from bowl eligibility.
No juice. Nothing exciting. What's our identity? Squeaking by? Is that what we're going to be called? Squeakers?
What happens? What do you guys think happens? Let's say, what is the scenario? I think it's spicier if let's say we beat TCU, right, Guido? That was what we were kicking around a minute ago, right? Let's say we go beat TCU, and then Garrett Green gets healthy. What do you think Garrett Green comes back to the helm, Scoot? So to revisit Scoot's, Scoot thinks this is a perfect storm for Neil Brown because he's actively disliked Garrett for years now, and it sort of fell in his lap. He could now play Nico. If we go into TCU, we win. Now we're heading into this Thursday night short week game at Houston, and Green is healthy.
No way. It'll be the short week. He doesn't play him.
You don't think so?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think if you're saying Nico goes into Fort Worth and beats TCU this weekend, you don't see Garrett Green the rest of the season. Maybe if he loses
that's
3 or 4
interesting
games
though,
in a
isn't
row,
it? There's a chance here he gets Wally pipped, is what you're saying. I mean, I don't expect us to go into TCU and win, but I also didn't expect to be talking about a 3-1 football team. So
listen,
I don't know.
I'm also going to say this though, let's say we lose to TCU and we go into Thursday night Houston. I still don't think you see Garrett Green because the excuse of it's a short week. We don't have time to.
Well, it's not a short week. There's a week and a half.
Oh, that's
in
right.
between.
No, you're right, Guido. Okay. My bad. No, you're right. It is a Thursday night, but it's after.
I still don't think you see him. Like, I think he's done. Like, I'm not done, but I think as the starter, I'd be very surprised if he comes back.
I think that might be an interesting thing coming because I think we saw him suited up. I didn't even think we'd see him dressed this Saturday. He was dressed. He was limping around, but he was still like, I didn't even think we'd see him out there, with a taped up ankle. They said he was in a boot. I thought we would have no chance of seeing him. And there he was suited up pregame.
Yeah, why is he in a uniform?
Yeah.
Right. Why is he dressed?
So I think that's going to be interesting to see what happens there, especially if Nico, if they win more with Nico, that's going to be interesting.
And I think, listen, I think Nico's a likable kid. I don't dislike Nico. I think in any other circumstance, I would be a Nico guy. Not that I guess I'm saying that I'm not a Nico guy, but I think you guys know that we feel Garrett Green's been slighted.
But for this whole thing, Scooty, like this isn't about for you, and I think for me too. This isn't about players.
Right,
this is about coaching
and
this isn't about those guys. Like, and so here's my question back to you, Scooty. Like, what would Neil Brown have to do to move?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like,
Scoot meter is like almost negative right now, right? Like if you picture it like one of these, like the like the crowd dial, like the it's like flat right now on zero, isn't it? Scoot meter, it's
flat.
Well,
right?
what starts the scoot meter? What does that?
Like if I'm being listen.
Yeah,
because it's not 3 wins in a row.
3 wins
because
has
it's
not
obviously.
moved the scoot
It's not 3 wins in a row.
If I can I? Is this a tree of trust?
It is. Of course it is. That's what I said. Yeah, safe space. Do it. That's what I want you to do.
I think he's got to be humble. I think he's got to accept responsibility, and not that he's. I feel like he's so quick to find some other reason other than his play calling is not great, or this, like, I feel like he's finding excuses all the time. So I think that would help. If you had some kind of no coach speak, just spoke some truth and honesty, maybe took a look in the mirror to see what the problems were.
You're saying he's got a Michael Jackson you?
Yeah, a little bit. The man in the mirror.
He's got a man in the mirror.
I think, offensively, like, it can't be screens all the time. It's got to be some sort of, like, there's no threat. We have no big threat. Our big threat is a converted tight end who's now playing running back, and that's our big threat. Like,
well, it was a little bit interesting. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here, Guido, but it was a little bit interesting to see. We saw Rodney Gallagher against Texas Tech. We saw some, I don't know, was it even trickeration? It was sort of like the guy runs in motion, you give him the pitch and see what he can do. I think if I remember correctly, we saw that. We saw some other running backs other than just the normal switcheroo between Donaldson and the normal backups. I mean, I think he's worked other people in, but it's still the same old plays. To your point, it's largely still the same old plays. And I text Guido at one point Saturday, the ESPN Plus announcers were like, "Oh, Neil Brown going into the bag of tricks," and I was just like, "Ooh, like I don't like that bag at all. Well, like that bag is not a good bag."
So if you're going into the bag of tricks, right, and you're gonna throw in these guys that he keeps talking about how we got to get this guy more involved, that guy more involved, got to get more touches for Jaheim White, right? He's one of the guys that we got to get more touches for. Got to get him more involved in the offense. 1 rush for 6 yards. Got to get Justin Johnson. Remember him? He used to be a running back for us. He was kind of like second in command after Mathis before.
Well, he made an appearance, I think.
1 rush for 5 yards. Rodney Gallagher, he's too explosive to keep off the field. We got to get him on the field. 1 reception for -3 yards. Like, if you go to them one time,
he's too explosive for positive yardage. Also,
so he's like one of those things that Inspector Gadget would get. And then it would. He's that explosive. His instructions, they blow up in his hand. Like if we're really trying to like involve these explosive talents, your wide receiving core is led by, this is no disrespect to them, but 2 walk-ons is primarily what you've had for receiving, and a tight end that transferred from LSU, thank God. Like, you're trying to tell me that Rodney Gallagher can't be more involved?
But so I think you're proving out, Guido, I think Scoot's proving out his point, though, on the question earlier, where I still think that as long as Bran Flakes is calling the soy raid, it doesn't, like, I think if I'm looking down the box score, Scoot, to your point, I hadn't really looked at this until you were bringing it up, but like, I think 23 targets, 12 different people. So I mean, yeah, you spread it around, but it's like, for us, that means you just threw 12 different people a screen pass, I guess is my point.
And you want to know why we know that they were screen passes? Because only 2 of those passes went past 10 yards.
It's not funny, but it's funny.
And a long of 21, and that's it. The 21 came from the
bag,
tight end.
From the bag of tricks. Yeah, that's right.
And the backup tight end, by the way, didn't even get targeted for a throw to him at all in the game.
He got targeted for a pitch. He got targeted for a lateral. That's it.
So let me just do a quick breakdown. This has Got Your Ears On exclusive breakdown right here for you WVU fans of how you should consume West Virginia football for the rest of the season. Simple. Very, very simple. Don't watch the games. Like, just check the score after. Win, loss. Win, you're happy. Loss, so bad, too bad. Don't watch the games. Don't watch them, because they're gonna, if there's wins, they're not gonna be pretty wins. They're gonna be Texas Tech type wins. It's gonna be like, oh god, geez, what's gonna happen? Like, it's gonna be. Don't watch the games. Don't watch them. Maybe that's the answer.
It's such a weird place to be. I mean, I want wins. I'm getting wins, but it's the weirdest feeling right now.
Listen, right? I listened.
Would you have felt better? Scoot, let me ask you this, Johnson. Sorry, Johnson. Would you have felt better if you had not watched the game and just opened up your phone at like 10 o'clock at night and been like,
well, I watched so I think I can answer that by saying I watch these games with my dad, right? Yesterday we finished watching the game and my dad looked at me and said, I feel like I just worked a shift. Like, watching that game, I'm tired now after watching that game. I feel like I went to work. So, Guido, I don't know. I think it's not the most enjoyable watch in the world. Like, thank goodness they won, but I don't know that you maybe enjoyed it while you were consuming it, to your point.
What if this team wins the Big 12?
What a crazy conversation, right?
Like, I want to see West Virginia versus Texas in the Big 12 championship. Would be an amazing game. It'd be,
how about West Virginia versus Kansas?
We're that even. Either of them.
How wild would that be?
I think West Virginia versus Texas, I think the over-under for that game will be like 125, and Texas will be giving West Virginia like 78 points. Like, it'll be crazy. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's I don't think it's possible, but it's possible. Like, you look at that schedule, it's like, listen, like, Scooty, listen. All right, TCU, I think, is a loss. I'm sticking with it. But I don't disagree with Johnson. Neil Brown does weird things, and that's one of those weird things. Houston is going to be a win because Dana is down. He's down on Houston, setting what little hair he has on fire.
He is.
It's a train
Neil Brown
wreck.
has never won 4 in a row. Okay, Neil Brown has never won 4 in a row.
He's never won 4 in a row. That is true.
Stat, right?
Yes.
That's the new stat.
Oklahoma's like, look at this. So you got TCU. I don't think it's happening. Houston, I still think it's a win.
I do too. So Guido, you called this at the beginning. I've now warmed up to it because Houston's a total mess.
Oklahoma State, another mess.
A total mess, and at home.
Yes. It's like Oklahoma State can't beat a Division II school.
Scoot, you could go into Central Florida Halloween weekend and you could have 5 wins in your pocket, my friend, at Halloween.
You could be playing at the end of October. We might be playing for bowl eligibility.
You could be going in. Guido's right. You could be facing what are they? The Knights or whatever. I never really pay attention to Central Florida, but you could be going into Central Florida Astronaut Field or whatever, and you could be playing for bowl eligibility, Scoot.
Yuck.
The Soy Raid could be on the attack for bowl eligibility Halloween weekend.
Listen, I still have faith in Neil to kneel it up because this is the same guy.
There's plenty
who
of
had
time
to bring in a backup quarterback to beat Army. Remember those days? He'll do something, right? He'll bring it back.
He'll course correct, right?
Yeah.
There's time to kneel it up. I like it. That's funny. Yes, there is time. But okay, look. Let's say you then Guido keep going. So Central Florida.
So Central Florida not great this year either. Yeah. They lost to Tulane, right? Like Tulane's
the only
not a bad
thing there
team,
is it's on the road, and we don't feel great about it.
It's on the road. It's in Orlando.
But then you come home and you get the healing salve of BYU. Who's atrocious, Scoot? There's another chance.
And they have to take a 25-hour plane flight from across the country to come to Morgantown.
Right.
They probably got to land in Clarksburg and have a 45-minute bus ride up to Morgantown.
But
so they're going to be exhausted, and like West Virginia's going to win that game.
If they do a haka before the game, that would be awesome.
Then you got Oklahoma. You travel to Norman. You play Oklahoma
so just
for the
go
last
ahead
time.
And mail that in. But then
mail that
you
one's
come
done.
home to Cincinnati, who's another big bag of atrocities, right? They're horrible. They were in a barn burner with the jugs machine at Pitt, and they almost lost.
And the thing with Cincinnati is Cincinnati's going to be beaten up and tired by that point because they've got a tough.
And that'll be a good Guido. We talked about that. You're right. That's end of season. Guys are destined to be banged up, and a crowd will show up for that.
And then you finish the season with Baylor, who I think some of us thought was going to be good this year.
Wow, was I wrong about that?
I'm not really sure what's happening with Baylor. They've only won one game so far, and that one game was against Long Island.
Scoot the Sharks. Remember the Sharks?
I do like the Sharks.
So, listen, Johnson, 8 wins is obtainable.
It's plausible. Yes, it's very plausible. Scoot, 8 wins is very plausible with this big bag of poop on the schedule. It is. I'm telling you. Crazy stuff here.
It is. It is. And then here's the strange thing to think about, guys, is you look at the way the Big 12 is shaping up this year, and yes, Kansas is very good. Oklahoma is Oklahoma. Texas is very good.
That's about it, right?
Texas, Oklahoma leave. That's about it.
No.
Like, everybody else is not very good. So then you start let's play this out. Like, let's get past this year. Neil Brown wins 6, 7, 8 games this year. He goes and plays in the Hardy's Heart Attack Bowl, on December 27th at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Like, it's on
on the Ocho.
On the Ocho. And then next year he plays and he wins another 6 games next year with the schedule of mediocre Big 12
he's
teams.
suddenly here the whole contract. He's suddenly here forever. Like, listen, that's where we're going. That's why I was trying to talk to the listeners and us. You're going to have to cope. Like, I don't know what to tell you. This is what's happening. We're in the middle of it. It's happening right now. It's weird. I don't know.
I have to say, I thought coming after, we took a break from doing the podcast, took a nice long summer break after the fiascos of, basketball season and Huggins getting let go and us hiring a guy who's never coached a team before when we're a top tier, or at least we thought we were a top tier basketball program. Neil Brown coming back. We thought he was going to win a game this year, and we'd get. I have never been more hopeful and more excited about basketball right now because I think I'm excited about Josh Eilert. I'm excited to have something West Virginia other. I watched the soccer game the other night. Which was rough, where West Virginia tied Georgia Southern. Where they're number 2 ranked soccer team in the nation right now. I'm done with WVU football. Like, give me something
No,
else.
you can't be.
Done
That's
with-
the thing, though. You can't be. I'm trying to tell you.
It won't
They
let me go.
You're in the clutches.
I'm
You
getting.
can't go. I hate to tell you.
I'm getting.
You're in this thing for the long haul. You're going to be texting me every Saturday as we're watching the games. We're not going anywhere. It's a weird place. We're 3-1, and somehow we're not happy about it. I don't know what's going on, but here we are.
Are we the only ones that feel like this, folks? Like, seriously, hit us up on Twitter. Like, somebody, like, I would think, Scooty, that other people have to feel this way.
Well, based on my research on the Twitter, we are an anomaly. There's a couple.
I think we are.
There's a couple of people that might feel adjacent to us, but I think most are like, we're the jerks that aren't loving this team and this coach and how things are going, and we keep looking for we're trying to get rid of the coach that's got us 3-1, and pretty soon, you know what's coming next. You know what's coming next. How come we're not ranked? How come we're being screwed by not being ranked here?
We're being looked over.
Like 3-1. Look at Colorado. They're 3-1. Like, we're gonna hear all this kind of stuff. Look at these other teams. They're 3-1. How come we're not ranked and they are? It's coming. You know it's coming.
We had a fan on Twitter at Renegade Magic had tweeted at us. He was like, "Hey, why haven't you guys put out a podcast in 2 weeks?" Well, this is why. I don't know. We don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
It's hard. It's hard, right? Because typically, and I'm just going to speculate, I'm not a big, oddly enough, I'm not a huge podcast listener of other colleges' podcasts and things. But typically, you would think that most podcasts centered around a school or sport would be very excited about those schools and sports.
Yes.
And
that's usually the idea.
Yeah. And
very rah.
You would think that, listen, we're here to try to get listeners, so we got to be real positive. Well, I can tell you right now, it's obvious we're not paid by the university. I can also tell you it's
yes.
Obvious.
Maybe if they did, we would talk differently.
Well, I think people would. I think people appreciate our honesty. This is really what we think, and maybe as this plays out, we're wrong, Scoot. I don't know, but we're not pandering to anyone. This is really how we. This is our opinion.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. You asked me before what I thought Neil Brown had to do, and I told you I needed him to be humble or be honest. What I have been bothered with is, and I don't even remember what year it was. 2 years ago when I got off the climb, when Guido was still, he had the marshmallows going, he was talking to the Sherpas
propped up around the campfire.
Yeah, he was looking at maps and stuff. He's checking the weather. I didn't like that we were being told one thing by Neil Brown, and what we were being told was that we don't see what we see. Like, you don't, like, it was almost like, well, you're not there at practice, so you don't really know. Or, he's got a lot of things to work on. And, well, to be honest with you, I feel Neil's got a lot of things to work on. And,
but let me ask you, Scooty.
Go ahead.
Yes.
No, let me ask you, Scooty. Like, you used to coach, and you still coach some youth. You have some
the Utes. I coached the Utes.
The Utes. You got the Utes. I think a lot of people would say, hey, listen, guys, you guys can complain, bitch and moan all you want about this team and Neil Brown's play calling and 50 runs and a trick play and a incomplete pass.
But guess
what? But guess what? All that matters is that the score at the end of the game.
Oh, and I get that. Like, listen, obviously winning fixes a lot of things in the minds of people, right? So the reason why we are conflicted right now, this whole episode is a conflict. The reason why you guys are feeling the way you feel is because we're still seeing the same product, yet it's somehow turned into wins. So we don't know how to do that. It's like, it's fool's gold. It's like, this shouldn't be happening, but it is happening. It's happened. And just because it's happened, like, yes, you say there's no such thing as an ugly win. A win is a win. Yes, it would be way worse if we lost. The only problem we have is, if I'm being honest, is that a loss or losses probably bring us, the fans who are clamoring for something better, some closure on this bad feeling, this bad trip we've been on.
Well, Scoot, I have bad news for you. I really do, because you keep saying you want a humble
Yeah, I do.
Neil Brown. Well, pretty soon, the way Guido and I just laid it out there, if you're playing for bowl eligibility Halloween weekend, or maybe even into BYU, the guy that was told his team was going to be 14th and wasn't going to be any good or win 3 in a row or anything, he's not going to be home. He's not going to be humble for you.
He's not going to be.
He's going to be smug city. He's going to be more of the guy that you.
I told you so.
Right.
Like I told you.
Yes.
And I'm going to bring in some nondescript celebrities to tell you some sort of
But here's the thing. He said in the press conference before the Texas Tech game, he said the reason he's calling the plays, the reason he made himself the play caller, is he knows that it's all on him and that he's on the hot seat and he's got to be the one that wins these games. So it's like, I mean, like the play calling or not, he's not wrong in that. I'm just saying, this is so challenging because that was a very rough football game to watch. The Pitt game was a rough football game to watch. It's not fun football. It's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I mean, I'm waiting for Newt Rockney to come out, as a ghost and join the team with his leather helmet. Like it is not exciting football. It's not. And to his credit, I don't think any team in the Big 12 is necessarily recruited or ready for this kind of offense if he can pull it off all season long.
Well, Guido, back in '06, we used to run the ball and we loved it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That is exactly
when
what it
was
is.
The forward pass invented? I'm going to look it up really quick.
I mean, that is what it is, Scooty. This Texas Tech game was nothing but runs. I messaged Jeff Ruff, one of our listeners, on there, and he was like, I can't complain about the play call. And I was like, yeah, because it's run. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, Scoot. I'm just telling you.
We got a Bradbury Robinson shortage on our hands. So this says in the opener for St. Louis against Carroll College on September 5th, 1906. That's what your accent made me think of, that time period, '06, right? Bradbury Robinson. Bradbury's a great name for that time, isn't it? Bradbury Robinson threw football's first legal forward pass. This is very us. The toss hit the ground untouched, resulting in a turnover. So, and there's a big picture of him in a leather helmet, Guido.
Yes. Neil Brown's pregame speeches are like, oh, well, fellas, we're going to go out here and we're going to take the old pigskin and run it right up the middle.
Yeah. That's probably said, listen, fellas, we ain't going to be that '06 team. We ain't losing to Marietta 2-4 this year.
I mean, it's true. It's so true.
They lost 2-4 to Marietta College in 1906.
I mean, it's just...
We're not going to be like those suckers over at Jefferson and Lee this year, fellas. They better have their britches pulled up tight and their helmets strapped on extra tight.
Remember that team that played against Cal PA at the YMCA when they won 11-0?
Do it for Bradbury, lads.
Old Greasy Neil isn't coming through this stadium. We've got to get it on our own, boys. Like, it's, I don't know. I don't know, man. And here's the thing is I feel like, Johnson, you're 100% right. And I don't even know how to react to it. Like, we are going to be sitting here at the end of November and we're going to, like, we are all, the three of us are going to just be eating crow after this team wins.
They're going to be like 6-3 or something.
They're going to, wait, no, that's exactly it. Like, they're going to be, at the end of the season, they're going to have lost 4 games. They're going to be like 8-4. And we're going to be playing in maybe not a great bowl, but and then I'm going to be like, why did I spend the last 3 months complaining every episode? Like, I don't know, guys.
Look,
like,
I hope so. Okay, whatever. I mean, I want us to win. I don't want us to not win. It's just I'm more in amazement right now that it's like it keeps happening. It's like Scoot said, I cannot align the product with the results. Like it doesn't, logic does not dictate that this should be happening, and that it feels weird.
Pass for a total of 79 yards, win. Leading rusher quarterback with 72 yards, win.
I mean,
backup tight end, farthest past, win.
Lose the turnover battle 2-0, win.
Like, what is going on? Let's Guido, wrap this up. We can't even talk about it. I can't even
we gotta land.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I will tell you some exciting things in the world of WVU sports.
Oh, do tell.
I'm excited about this Mountaineer Madness tip-off event that we're doing on October 6th.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This seems like it's going to be cool. I will say, Scoot, you want it. You like a little. I mean, Scoot's a Coach Prime guy, even after Coach Prime got tragically embarrassed this weekend.
Yeah, it was rough.
Very embarrassed. But I will say,
he got a little bit of comeuppance there. See,
Coach Eilert's bringing the juice a little bit, I think.
Yes, I like what I've seen. Listen, I'm going to say this. This is early, very early take, hot take coming at you. You ready for a hot early take on basketball?
Hot early take on basketball. Okay,
just
real quick.
I think almost despite what the results are record-wise, everything I've seen from Coach Eilert says to me that he should just they should remove the interim tag from him. So I think it's his job to lose. I think barring a major collapse, I'd say he will be officially your next head coach. Hot take.
Well, I don't necessarily think that's not a super hot take. That's like a mild take, if you will. That's like the sriracha of takes. I think
curiously spicy take by Scoot.
kind of you think it's kind of going to be spicy, but it's really not. I think we're going to have a very exciting basketball season. I'm not going to say that we're going to, maybe we'll be playing in March Madness. Maybe we'll, I'm positive about some things. I think it's going to be a fun team to watch. I think it's going to be energy. And I think that that's something that we have lacked in at least the last handful or so of Huggins years. I think there's going to be energy from the coaching staff. I think the players going to bring the energy. I'm real excited that like I said, October 6th at 6 p.m. in the Coliseum, they're doing this. And I like the fact that they're not doing like one of the crazy midnight things. Like they're doing it at 6 p.m. Kids can come and see. There's going to be autographs, dunk contest, three-point contest.
No, I think it's really cool. I'm glad you brought it up. And I think Scoot's right. Like, it does bring some juice, and it just feels, dare I say, fun, positive, I don't know. Feels like it's fun. I think this coaching staff has been assembled to be fun. I think they've recruited out of their mind, which looks really fun.
We're in on every big time recruit right
it's
now.
Impressive.
It's wild. You see a 5-star recruit, we've got some you find a tweet out there. WVU's been in contact with this guy. WVU's invited that guy. Okay. All right, I'm into that.
Yeah. I think it's the transfer portal work that he pulled off coming into the season, even after all the Huggins stuff and keeping the guys that we thought we were going to lose. I'm excited. I'm very excited. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be talking basketball as the season ramps up or gets going here in the next month or so. But and then there's football, which is still happening this weekend. We go to Fort Worth. We play.
They're going to continue to play some games. See? Can we do that now? That's a great. Since we've identified the right
era
time frame, can we do some segments where we all have to speak in that? Do you got your Cracker Jack, Scoot?
That's right. Yeah.
You sounded a little Sean Connery right there.
Who's the man now, dog?
Well, boys, they get on the old train and they travel to Fort Worth this weekend to play TCU.
Can we wear the
Indiana's what we named the dog.
Can we wear those? What are
Wow,
those
how did it turn
hats,
into-
Guido?
it's not
With the
the fedoras with like the press thing in them. You know, the fedora hats with like you get the little card that
I'd
says
like the
press
one that looks
on
like
it.
a rice
Yeah.
cake.
What?
You know those hats that look like rice
Oh,
cakes?
like the
kind
straw,
of
like the.
yeah,
Oh yeah, these straw one. Yeah.
and they're flat.
So anyways, WVU travels to Fort Worth to face TCU this weekend. That's an 8 p.m. game on ESPN2, a night game.
They're going down there to face those horny toads, Scoot.
I'll say, you got a little
say,
foghorn
now
leghorn
we get-
in there. I'll say, them horny toads there. I'll say.
TCU went to the national championship game last year, Johnson.
Yes, I heard that. They've had a rough go of it, though.
They have had a rough go of it. They have not looked great. They still do have Bailey, who's like their star running back this year. He leads the Big 12 in rushing yards, so they're going to run the ball too. So be ready. But watch that game, ESPN2, 8 p.m. On Saturday. And
they have also, just before you leave that, they've also won 3 in a row since their close loss to Colorado. So
I think maybe the Colorado game, Coach Prime woke them up. Maybe that's what it was. So definitely watch that. So guys, that's going to wrap it up this week. Don't forget, you can find us online. Check us out. You can find us on Twitter or X, whatever it's called, at Got Your Ears. You can find us there. Look for us on Facebook as well. Just search Got Your Ears On. You can also check out our website, gotyourearson.com. Johnson, it's kind of a hub of things about us.
Oh, that's right. You can go to the interwebs, and you can click on all the things that we've been talking about here about the football. I'm not very good at that, Scooch. You'll have to do that accent from now on. You can click on the latest show notes there. You can also click on the Tune In link and listen to the show on the website. And if you are so inclined, you can click through to the merch store and check out all the merch.
Yeah, so check it out, gotyourearson.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for listening to us rant and complain, and just, we're kind of I feel like this was one of our more emotional shows, guys. This was pretty.
We'll
emotional.
see how we are after this TCU game.
We'll see because we might be back on. It might all get back on track.
Like
next
Scoot said, there's time to kneel it up. So maybe we'll see what happens.
Yes. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with another show. You've been listening to Got Your Ears On.